welcome to Real Talk NT on Tootbox Media. #SmallTalkDome with myself, Kaylee Golden.
And I am Smash Entertains. And on this episode, we are going to be covering topics such as gang culture and the label in Birmingham with beef and gangs and so forth. Was your favourite rapper growing up stabbing or attacking other rappers with beef? What's up with that? Putting your beef on tracks, is it relevant? In other cities like London, they have their own hood dramas and so forth.
You gotta talk to my friends when your friend got quick. Your bridges and your bridges and your bridges and your bridges. They don't want to ride for the guy in the sky. Why could he might just end up?
And we're going to be sharing these topics with the guests that we have on the show. I will let you introduce yourselves because I don't want to pronounce anyone's names wrong. So go for it. Starting with you, young lady.
Nathania, I am a PhD researcher and run a platform for women who are creative entrepreneurs. I've worked with young people, youth offenders, in the arts and outside of the arts over the past 15 to 20 years.
See, I wouldn't have remembered all that. And yourself, sir?
Rev, Twisted Rev, performer, artist, producer, somewhere community activist, youth worker, mentor, someone who's worked within media as well, with short films and things like that. All around good guy.
Yourself, sir?
Shots, run a record label.
What's that short for?
Nah, shots is the shots. It's not even shots for nothing, the shots.
Shots.
Yeah.
Alright.
Basically. Do artist management, run a record label in Birmingham, do artist development, promotion, work with the youths, work with the community, work with schools, and that's me.
Okay, cool.
Mentor whole heap of them.
Got you. So to start with, do you think that there's pressures for artists to talk about gang culture within their music, with it being so popular, like drill is super popular at the moment? Do you think there's pressures to talk about it?
I don't think it's pressure. I just think it's what's popping, what's in. People are getting signed for talking their gang culture.
Yeah.
Everyone's getting signed on, so it's like the younger generation seeing that, thinking that's the way forward, basically. Not a lot of people's getting signed to these labels before, as artists, right?
It bothers me.
So now it seems like there's something for them. That's what they're doing, expressing their gang culture to get signed. I'm not saying it's right, but
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Obviously, it being a culture, it's like culture. Where I look at culture is more like, you know, you got the Red Indians. How, you know what I mean? Their culture was, you know what I mean, their way, dancing around fire and the hunt and all that kind of stuff. Then you got the Rastafarian culture. You know what I mean? That's what I class as culture. Gang is not culture.
I wouldn't say that's what I said.
I'm not saying you said it, but it is something that is basically promoted as a culture. You know what I mean? So it's like
people talking from their hoods, from where they come from. That's what artists been doing from day one, basically.
But you know what I've noticed? The difference between the artists from day one and the artists today. Back in the day, when we used to listen to an artist, those artists were talking about their life while they were living that life, but it weren't because they were trying to get popular from talking about their life. They were just expressing themselves and sharing a message. Now, I look at it like the young up-and-coming artists feel like they have to talk about that just to get recognised. Do you agree? Right.
But this is why I agree with it, because there's money involved in there now, and people know that that's a way for them to get paid. They will go out their way to talk about it, and it's a lot easier as well. You know, they don't have to put effort or thoughts into a lot of things.
If you never had no group of young thugs getting signed, I'm sure you wouldn't hear half the things you're hearing today. Basically, you know.
I think that, first of all, just looking at the money element, obviously we have to understand capitalism is everything. So when you talk about just the way that even gang culture is presented in terms of music and media, it adds up to money in their eyes. So whether it's the stories that I told from an American perception of I was in a gang or I was doing this on the road, then I was selling things out my boot, then I was selling CDs, now I'm Jay-Z, for example. We're trying to emulate them same stories, not realising that actually what we're doing is walking into a systematic trap, because number one, gang culture is something that is by design, 100%. Geographically and otherwise. Capitalism is at the centre of music, and media is one of its biggest kind of distributors. So if young people are not educated on just them as musicians and artists from a social level, then this is just going to be repetitive. It's not just as simple as, we're just tooting gang culture.
This is why I think that every young artist should have a mentor or someone who's going to guide them, not only to just teach them about the business in general, but just to help them develop as themselves. Because a lot of the drill artists and everyone you've seen, the young kids, they're not even like, a lot of them are younger than like,
it's social
are
media,
20 and under. Most of them are usually around 18.
We've got social media now though, innit? So the minute, if you're not doing nothing on social, if you're doing something shown on social media, you're somebody, innit? Yeah. Basically. So a lot of the social media got a big part to play in it.
Do you think like the whole culture, it restricts a lot of artists from reaching their full potential of being a music artist or even as a person?
Yeah, definitely. Peer pressure. Yeah. Because I see it day in, day out.
Restrict how though? In what way?
For example, you see like how an artist, they can reach a new plateau and perform on certain platforms.
They don't want to.
To be honest, I don't think that no more, because you have to look at artists like using Fredo. He's not exactly a drill rapper, but he rapped about a specific kind of thing. And back in the days, like you couldn't be on big main stages at these festivals rapping them stuff. Where now you can, you're literally getting drill artists.
But you know,
on these main stages.
I see enough youths though are talented bad, and because of the drill, they're just sticking to what you're saying, like, because that's what's popping. Yeah. But if they come out of that phase,
but I think that comes with just like maturity in general. Like I feel like most these rappers that start off at drill don't even end up as drill artists anyway. Like when trying to get to the main stage, you get me? So they kind of switch up and start experimenting with different sounds, maybe going to this Afro beat
when they get signed
kind of sound,
drill,
which is a bit more ear friendly. But the drill is what will get them noticed in the first place. Look at Unknown T Figures, like he bust off drill songs and then
dig that,
and that, you get me, and then got signed by the big label anyway, which then helped him get to the next stage. So I think, to be honest, it's seen as an advantage.
That then something that artists like yourselves should be looking at as problematic, that we are encouraged. Remember, to also, my understanding, to be a credible drill artist or whatever, you have to have some real life credibility. Yeah,
basically.
So is that not encouraging people to then continue a certain lifestyle, to get this credibility, to be able to have the songs and put it in their lyrics, to then bust, and then they change, but then no one talks about, oh, actually now I'm here and I've made that transition. No one comes back to the beginning and says, actually, do you know what, when you get in the industry, that's not actually gonna work. So
Fredo came out saying it the other day.
But then what's he doing? Didn't I see him get arrested?
I'm just saying though, I don't know about he's a signed artist out there, what everyone's following. He said the other day, he said exactly what you said.
But that's what I'm saying, once again, that's him.
And not a
maturing
lot of people,
or whatever, and it's taking him a while to get to that understanding. Most of these people don't know no better. Like, not saying that they're dumb or anything like that, but they literally, they come in the game to be popular from talking about what they're doing. They have no vision of, okay, I actually want to make a big platform for myself, and this is the avenue I'm going to take. They just in it basically doing whatever they do as you get me, as every day comes step by step. Every day there is no plan. It just is what it is.
Do you know what I've seen quite a lot of labels doing at the moment as well, is signing drill artists and actually moving them completely out of where they are. So like a lot of drill artists from London, I know a lot of labels that have moved them outside of London into like the most randomest of areas ever, just so they focus on their music. So like whenever it comes to like organising interviews or whatever, I'm thinking, oh yeah, they're just coming from down the road, but it's like, no, they need to travel for like an hour in a taxi to get here because they're outside of London, just to make sure they focus on their music. And then when you see a lot of crime cases coming up, it's always like old stuff that comes up after they've blown. And I think artists don't take that into accountability, that you need to, as soon as you want to take your music serious, get away from all that, because it will come back.
Check this though, saying that, I know certain no names record labels. I was at.
Yeah.
And these labels got a group. I can't even say the name of the group, but the group now has been told by the label, you need to be more blackish.
Really?
Like, we need you to be not black. They never said the word. They need you to be more foggish.
Yeah, because that's what's selling.
So what they done now must have Snapchatted them with 2 blade knives. So the record label said, no, that's knife crime. But we need you to be like
Thugs,
how they
but
do
my
it.
own-
You're not doing how they do it. So I'm saying, what? It's crazy.
To be fair, it's about
So
exploitation.
even the
like,
record labels want the artists, the good boys, to have something about them.
Yeah, do you know what? They want you to look
Swear.
a certain way, but don't actually do it. Because
Yeah.
then that's what it's going to cause us.
And you want it to be
That's
like-
what it is.
Push it out, man. We want you to be
But
like
then
this.
that goes back to the earlier point of what Bridget just said about exploitation
Mhm.
and capitalism.
No, 100%.
If you're saying, Kaylee, that they're moving people out of their areas
Yeah.
to then still concentrate on music that perpetuates what they were doing in their area
Yeah,
for
yeah.
other people then to continue that kind of practice or behavior or
Yeah.
belief or whatever, is then exploitation. So
it's
all of
Straight.
these free events and music events and everything need to not necessarily talk about the show business and the music business of business, but understand that the music business and show business is also the historical slavery and re-perpetuation of keeping us in a particular place. Those are the conversations that are not being had. Like gang culture is
This
the
is why.
end of the
This
the
is
end
why
of the
this is why going
conversation.
back to when I was talking about. I feel like these artists and everyone else need
So-
like mentors and people
Yeah.
around them who can explain and show them these things, because if you leave them to their own
devices.
device, then
yeah, they're not
you know what's going to happen. It's going to end up either, which you see with a lot of artists, they either end up in jail halfway through their careers, and because of the things that they was talking about and they was highlighting. While meanwhile, the record labels or whoever's still getting paid and generating money from them,
Yeah.
or they just
Or what they're
Fizzle
talking,
out.
or what they're talking about attracts certain attention that puts it on their toes to actually test them to see
yeah,
if
yeah,
they really are
yeah,
about
exactly,
it.
Yeah.
exactly.
If we bring it more back home to Birmingham, do you think that gang culture, in quotation marks, do you think it holds back our Birmingham music scene a little bit? So people don't really want to invest in events in Birmingham if they can't one extra live. And do you
I
it
think
holds
with
back?
Birmingham, I think because London's always had an industry, because it's the capital of
Yeah.
England. You get me? So it's always had that industry where Birmingham hasn't. So anytime anyone was talking about gang stuff and that, they took it very serious. They didn't see the music behind it or
Yeah.
anything like that. Because I remember at a time where a lot of us like could even have our names on a flyer
Yeah.
because the show wouldn't
Show
go on.
wouldn't
Like,
count.
People still card the name
yeah,
of it.
that's what I'm saying.
yeah.
You get me? And the gang issue. Not to say that London doesn't have its own problem, as you can see it does, but Birmingham's gang issue is totally different, and it's kind of generational. It's been like kind of passed down, so they look at it very different. They don't look at the music because they don't see the industry behind it.
Yeah.
And to be fair as well, even with us, we're very divided in terms of when we talk about gangs and things like that. Like if I'm an artist and I know you're affiliated to a certain other gang, I have nothing to do with it. We're in London.
He was
It's
still
kind of
workers.
people will still work with certain people from areas and that through mutual friends or
Yeah,
just for the benefit of the industry. Where in Birmingham it's kind of like, yo,
Because it's too small.
you're over
I was
there,
gonna
we're
say
over
exactly
here. That's
in
it.
proximity
It's
where
too
you live
small.
on top of each other. We've all been school. Everyone's kind of
Someone's gonna bump into
interconnected
someone.
with
Easy.
somebody.
Yeah. But do you think if someone's taking their music seriously, that they'll just say, look, listen, I'm going to get over it because this is my career, this is what I want to do?
I think if you're taking your music seriously and none of your content is gang culture related, it doesn't affect you. But if your music is gang culture related in Birmingham, then you're gonna have problems because you're living in a small place where all of us are one person removed from the next.
Yeah, of course.
And it's only, and to be honest, over the years, it's only a few people I've seen genuinely trying to cross that barrier and mix people from one man from here and where. And actually, the only person who actually did that successfully was probably RM, where he had a few people on a song that was
Yeah,
all from
yeah.
everywhere.
I remember that tune.
Yeah, you get me, and it was kind of a big deal
Yeah.
at that time. But usually, it doesn't happen. Like
I
people
remember-
don't care about
Politics,
whatever
isn't
because
it?
the gang thing
I
in
remember
their
the
head
video.
is a lot more serious than the
The
music.
video, a certain individual shot it separately.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Even though it was still shot separately,
But still, the fact that it happened, I was like, you know what? You know what I mean? Still,
But I
politics
think-
aside, it was still good.
I think we're still yet to reach that
Yeah.
that point where people start saying, you know what, the music's more important, or is what I want to actually push and what I'm going to use to take me forward.
I think because any drama in Birmingham anyway, when it comes to Birmingham, any quick drama, they're quick to say gang.
Yeah,
anyway, because it's Birmingham, that's all like the thing.
Like people
Birmingham,
aren't
that's all we know.
individuals,
You know what I mean?
Yeah, do you know what?
For instance, we got a ward in Birmingham, and people don't put faces on that, and that's from Birmingham because of the gang talks, and even that, he's infiltrated that, we can't use that, we can't use that picture, and these are successful youths.
Yeah.
So if we can't even push our youth, because even within ourselves, we're talking about the same old crap without talking. We need to look on success, and you know what I mean.
Exactly.
Instead of
The
the gang,
negativity.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
They won't. I don't know.
You
There's
have
a
to-
lot of people in Birmingham who won't get nominated for nothing. Doesn't matter how hard they work. They could be working 20 years straight with everyone because they probably know two gang culture people.
Okay, social, exactly.
They won't get. It's like no. Gang culture. The gang culture's not moving the whole
That's
Birmingham.
media, though.
Moving.
That's media.
No, but we're helping the media say that. I think we should talk about even that's why I said the word. Even we're saying the media, but we could have put up people's faces. Two different people from different sets what are successful. That would have unite. That's bringing a lot of different people from different ends to the one wall just to take pictures. Yeah, man, that's my man. Put his face next to that face, rags, because it's only success we're talking about, and we're not talking about nothing else. But it always seemed to lead back to that in Birmingham
And
quickly.
And one of the reasons for that is if you imagine doing that, having a wall that has people who have been successful regardless of their background on a wall, remember in a place that has small proximity, you start changing the narrative.
Definitely.
There's a lot of
It
people
would
who
help.
cannot get paid unless they're talking about guns and gangs.
And this
and
is what's
knife
happening in
crime.
Birmingham as
There's
well.
a lot
We got a lot of that.
Yeah, there's
I won't even go
because
into it.
even at Second
Where
City,
people are getting funded to talk and do
Yeah.
a lot of things for the youths.
But-
And I see majority of the youth anyway, and they're not seeing how these people are funded.
Yeah,
No people are
because-
funded to go into a good school to talk about knife crime. You know what I'm saying?
But because for
Different
our
topic.
city,
No,
that
but
is
it's
the-
real though, it's
Edit
real.
that out. different topic.
But for our city, that is how we've been branded as one of the gang culture
But can I
central. So
tell
it's
you,
for
it's so
people in
true.
us
It's so true.
to change it and talk about the
Do you know
successes.
what? Like, I live in London, and every time anyone even hears my accent, they think I'm in me in a gang. Like,
gang.
Honestly, people
What
are like,
ends?
oh my gosh, like, is it okay for me to come to Birmingham to see you? Like, will I get shot? And I'm like, no, like, you won't. But one extra live, I went, and then I come to London like 2 days later, and everyone was like, this is why we don't go to Birmingham. This is why we don't go to Birmingham.
Straight away label.
Straight away, but we don't help ourselves by when these things happen. Do you know what I mean?
You
We
know
don't
what it is
help
though.
ourselves.
Now watch. There's a case of you're saying we don't help ourselves.
Doing what?
It's what do we do? Because
Doing what though? What do you mean by help ourselves?
remember
People
the New
don't
Year
have
shooting.
Yeah.
All right, now there's the New Year shooting. Now look, Jamelia is a
Yeah.
successful artist. Her name got drawn into that. You know what I mean? Because the media will do whatever it can.
Yeah, that's not just
to
in
do.
Birmingham though.
You know what I mean?
That's-
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Media
That's
will
the
do it
whole
no
black
matter what.
music. That happens to everyone in black music.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
But when it comes to Birmingham again, because of the gang culture always comes up.
That's
Whatever
it.
opportunity they have
Straight to
to
gang.
relate it to that.
Straight to gang.
I never forget there was a picture of her and Lamar. One of them must have done this in the picture. They highlighted,
Yeah, remember that.
Jamelia did the gun sign, like, you know what I mean? Like, yo, who doesn't? You know what I mean? But it's what the media
But then,
does.
when we have all of these panels, all of this funding, all this stuff that happens, which is all comes from Home Office anyway, even if it says something else, read the small print, comes from the Home Office. We are then still re-talking about the same thing. All through Black History Month, I could find loads of talks where at some point gang culture comes up. Why are we not talking about the lecturers, the other professions
Yeah,
people
there's
go
bare
into
stuff we could talk
that
about.
still are from the hood, have still had different experiences, and showing kids and talking to them that actually there is other options. They're hard because you have to go through the narrow gate. Not everyone can be
Because-
going through the wide gate.
I think because it's like a quick paycheck for certain people.
I was gonna say that's what
And
it
because
is.
it's a paycheck, yeah, you know what I mean? Quick paycheck means I talk to anyone and anyone and anyone, you know what I mean? But I'm talking to gangs. They're not talking to no gangs.
Because there's
You
money
know what
in
I
it.
mean?
Like,
And
they'll actually
nothing's
put money-
changing.
They'll put money into that talk.
Yeah,
knife
but,
crime, this,
but
that,
it's
the
not
other.
changing
Yeah,
nothing
ain't
because
changing
the
nothing.
people are out there active. I ain't even heard none of this. They're like, what?
You know what's mad? I'm gonna tell you the maddest thing. I seen a poster of a boy sitting with a boxing coach, and the poster's titled, whatever his name is, has been knife free since he started doing boxing. I'm like, knife free? Like, what's he doing? What is he doing? How bad was he going on with a knife? For it to be stated that he's been knife free, like, yeah, I touched a knife for 2 months.
But these kids are dangerous with the knife now. That's the in thing.
You know what, though, we're responsible for our own narrative, and we need to just stop playing into it. And because if we're waiting for the media to change their whole way, then you're going to be waiting forever, because they're not doing. Because that's how they get paid. That's how stories get promoted. That's how they generate the funding for more police and
you need to get the people who are doing all of these stuff up here and ask them, who are they talking to?
Well, before that,
who are they targeting?
Not even that. I don't think we need to do that.
I don't think that's it. When we go back to the earlier part of the conversation, I'm going to bring it back to money and capitalism. A lot of these young people who are doing whatever they're doing want money, and the end goal, whether you look at their Instagram or anything, is to present themselves as a boss. What you need to put in front of them are bosses. Then, not people who are consistently talking about what they shouldn't be doing. Help me, give me the tools so I can get money to be a boss. That's the end goal. You need to get into their brain. All the crime and stuff comes
will get labelled.
Yeah, but it doesn't.
In Birmingham.
Obviously we know this, but
we can't use that boss. We don't need them, man. We need a church boss. You know what I mean? A boss from the church. Yeah, we got the boss. Use no bosses.
My reason for saying that is because the bosses or people they put in that bracket have lived a particular lifestyle, think. But if you show more people who have reached a certain level of success in their eyes that have lived something else, but they don't get funded. They don't get funded. Not that I think that we should rely on their funded. They also don't get supported or spoken about.
I think support. I think supporting them is a big thing. We need to support more people like that and not rely on the money that's coming from the system to do it. Because if you really, my thing is, if you really want change or you really want people to do better, you have to be willing to sacrifice your hours, your time, and even money at some stage to do it, rather than keep complaining to the same people
who ain't gonna fix it.
And go to the people.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No one goes to the people. You know what I mean? Everything in place, but you have to go to the people.
Yeah. At the end of the day, it's the masses.
I think people are too scared to go to these people. You know?
Yeah.
Do you think that music would sell, especially coming out of Birmingham, that has nothing to do with street drama? It's just like a complete song for girls, or do you know what I mean?
You know why? Because we got Lotto Boys, we got Lady Leisha,
so
we got. I wouldn't put Miss, because Miss still touches on certain subjects.
He's just a
but you know, he's still got some tunes that just sounds like he's just having a good time. But I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying.
Miss is not known as. You want to put Miss and a drill artist.
Nah, I know, but I'm saying, but it's content and that.
I hear ya.
Where Lotto Boys and Lady Leisha is obviously fun music. You get me? It's fun music. So I definitely think it's possible.
Artists that come now are pop.
So if it does sell, then why do you think people still talk about it?
Because who are getting played more? Who are getting played more on the main?
I don't. You know what? I don't think if it's who's getting played more, because obviously
Drill's getting number ones on the play. Like number one.
No, but check this. I don't think it's even who's getting played more, because Lady Leisha that obviously do well, especially off touring and shows and everything else.
She's got a name. She's a bit older.
You know what I think
than
it is?
youngsters.
I just think that I think that culture is just popularized. Like people, it's cool in it. It's promoted as cool, so people the youth want to get involved. But there's a whole other side of the coin, that ain't deemed as cool, but still getting played. Because, like I said, you got Lotto Boys, you got Leisha's. Socks as an MC was very cartoony and animated, and he did very well.
No effort. See, Grime was in it. I'm not saying it's not in. That's other people's argument. But Grime was in. When Grime was doing it, there's a lot of real mans. And I was like, wow, this is a street man. That's what made it Grime. Like. But what happened with Grime, it got watered down.
Some regular chaps.
Now, what's happening today now? Drill's like the new kind of Grime, isn't it? Yeah. So with the drill now, it's brought with the same Grime sense. Real mans are doing the drill.
And now we got the regular chaps chipping in.
Now, it's kind of hard for the regular, because the minute a regular chap does it, he gets G-chipped.
Yeah.
So it's not very hard for a regular man to do a drill. So it's gonna, and plus on top of that, now they're getting signed and the number ones in the chart. You know what I mean?
Like, so, you see growing up, you see the music artists that all of you guys liked. Were they You know what I mean? Some of them back in the day, were they living the life that they were talking about?
Yeah.
For example, like
Local, you mean like as in like?
in general, because obviously
Because back in the day, in our time, that we listened to a lot of American artists.
Yeah, of course.
To be fair, there was a lot of British rappers at that time, but their content was totally, I wouldn't say totally different. It was like, it was kind of backpack, what we call backpack, backpack rap. You get me? There was only a few. After at a certain time came like the first kind of gangster, what you call a UK gangster rapping that, which came along with like in London you had like gigs and all that. And then like with Osler and some other people I don't really want to be. I don't want to put everyone just only just in case. No, man don't want to be put in them categories.
Goes. But I remember in the UK scene there was an era where UK music. I still remember it. Like for example, Sway. I remember he was funny and lyrically gifted. You know what I mean?
And this is a point that I want to bring up, and now that you said that, actually just bring something back in my head. And this is what I'm saying about capitalism and exploitation. At that point, we was able to rap a certain thing, and it was played locally, but there was no money involved in it. But the media and the powers that be didn't benefit from it. Hence why a song like Bashy Black Boy got banned from radio, because all he was doing was talking about how good black boys were. And remember, it got banned from radio. Meanwhile, fast forward, you can now make money off pushing destructive music because they benefit from it.
Because back in the days, we had underground music. I don't think we got that no more.
And you had options.
We ain't got
Channel U.
We ain't got underground music now today.
But would you prefer to have underground?
That's why
music
everything
if
you're
it's not being
hearing,
paid,
but
though?
everything you're hearing now is on the front page. Back in the days, we had the most gang cruddy talking man out there, but it was underground. You know what I mean? You weren't up earth. You get what I mean? It was very we ain't got underground
Think about
music. If you get what I'm saying.
It's a catch-22 because
We
at
ain't
one,
got
at
underground
one
music.
sense you want everyone to be able
You go
to
somewhere for
generate money
underground.
and fame or success or whatever off their music, no matter what their content is. You're just happy that they're now doing something else and pushed into a space where they can record and take them off the roads. But then it's also the argument of, well, that includes all the artists that we complain about who are pushing knife and gun crime or whatever it is. You get me? So it's like,
I just think we got no underground music. Everything's just
but it's tricky though. It's tricky
Yeah, you want underground.
because like
No, I'm saying,
when
but if you didn't have
when
underground,
you look underground now,
some tunes you wouldn't be taught. Back in the days, underground music. No one talk about gang culture and all of that. If you went to an underground, if you went to a club, you would hear some tunes you only play in your bedroom. You know that was yo man's done. Yo,
and
you
your mum
only
comes
hear
home,
that,
you turn that
and you
down.
wouldn't hear that in the newspapers. Oh, the crime. Because it was
yeah.
just for that kind of scene. But now there's not that scene.
Yeah.
But then even though
Everything's
it's not that scene,
up in your face now.
Yeah, but even though we
That's
don't
why it
have that
seems like a
scene,
lot.
It's good though because people are charting, people are making real money
Yeah,
from
it
music.
definitely
Do you know
is.
what I mean? Whereas
Definitely is,
before,
man.
you have to kind of change your music to suit the white people, but now it suits.
see me,
everyone.
I'm a fan. I personally want all of them. I don't care what you're talking about in your music. It could be the cruddies of crud. I want all of them people to be successful because once they're pushed in other avenues and that they start to step out of their communities and they can do better for themselves.
But do they step out of their communities? I think that's where there's a massive problem at the moment. Like people, they're doing well, but they're not actually stepping out.
It's not easy to just step out your community.
I know it's probably not
For
easy.
a young kid
I
to
know
say,
it's
I'm going to
not
move
easy.
over there. You know what I mean?
I understand
And they're popping at the age of 18 now.
Who remembers Lord of the Mics?
Yeah.
Remember that DVD?
Yeah. That was-
Birmingham mic control. No, not Lord of the Mics. Birmingham mic controllers. Remember that?
I remember that name.
Devilman come out with
familiar.
that one, blood, and he basically went
Yeah, I
round
remember that. I
Birmingham.
remember that.
And made every artist.
Vaguely.
Blood, he went round, bro. And basically, every Birmingham artist that was doing spitting and whatever was on that Birmingham mic controllers DVD. Bit of politics followed after though. You know what I mean? Like it's one of the certain man.
But he was doing that in a time where, like, there was no. It was just like 98% gang. It was like there was no. Like now we've got something. It may not be on the level of London, but now we've got something. So people may be comfortable. It may be better for something like that to happen. Now we're back then. It was
But
a
the thing
total.
is, but back,
no-go.
I'll be honest, back then it banged because I remember when the DVD come out, everyone wanted to get it, and then his mixtape come out, everyone was on DEVs, mixtape, like, everyone, I need that. But because of the whole gang culture side of things and the kind of life that he lived prior, it came back on him and it slapped him in the back.
And also, obviously, him himself, he had his own personal issues and things that was going on at the time.
Right,
exactly.
He had a lot of problems going on. You get me?
Yeah, only
personals.
And again, that again is down to the lifestyle he was living outside of the music. So even though he's living that lifestyle and bringing it into the music, him then becoming successful end up backfiring on him. You know what I mean? So it's one of them ones. It's like, how do you separate them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is.
It's tough.
Yeah, it is very hard. It is very hard.
With him though, he could have. It's depending what kind of subject you're talking in. His subject is different.
It's like, do I talk? Do I not talk?
Yeah, you know what I mean? His subject's a bit different though.
Yeah.
So for him, for an artist, if they put themselves in a certain situation,
yeah, of course,
that's for their own self.
That's the individual.
If you get me, you can't put that on an hour scale.
No, I think the original point I was making is like, it can definitely be done. If not for the technicalities, that Birmingham mic controllers DVD and everything that followed, because he put a lot of MCs on the map, like people that you didn't know at some stage. You knew them then from watching that DVD, and everyone who's everyone watched that DVD. The cover was pants. The I ain't gonna listen. It was all like, you look at the cover, you're like, design this. But I watched it. There was 2 discs. I watched both of them, and I sat down. You couldn't really forward on DVD player. Someone just, just give the dead DVD. It's like there's no skipping. You just have to watch it. If you press the right and no forward, it's starting at the beginning or going to the end. But what I'm saying is, he did it. You know what I mean? And everyone who's everyone watched that DVD and enjoyed it. Everyone who's everyone wanted to get a hold of his mixtape. I remember we went down to London. Amnesia was filming a video in London, and Stormin was in it. God bless his soul. And we've gone down there with Devilman. And Storm's, Devilman, we've been trying to get hold of it. Like, enough people gaslight. My man had UK.
Devilman, definitely, he was a big thing.
Are you saying man should do that now?
What, like the Birmingham mic controllers thing?
You see the difference with Devilman? He was a one person. That's not. You talking like people are popping are in sets and people don't deal with these people and that people, so it's harder for them to.
Do you think there's anyone that
network?
Could do
if you get what I mean, he was no, but he was a neutral man.
Yeah. Kinda.
Neutral.
It was neutral.
No,
he
weren't really he wasn't. So it's a bit
100%.
different for someone who's neutral to run around. Yeah. Someone can run around and do that.
Yeah, definitely.
You have to just be. There is people that could do that, but you just have to support them like how you support artists that are already popping. Yeah. And so we wait till people are already popping, and that for us to support them. We don't support them from the ground up. Yeah, so there is
the thing is we do. The thing is we do. It's just not. It's not a common thing. Like, it's not the masses do. You see, as individuals, us in a community of artists that do our thing, you'll see me at an event. I'll see you in an event. We'll see each other. And but what have you noticed? Is anytime you go to an event, you see a certain selection of people.
Always.
You know what I mean? Whereas when you're trying to appeal to everyone as an audience, it's them that won't really put their time into it until you're big enough. Because I've seen, even in the comedy world, like I've seen it, I've put on my own shows, and then I've been a part of shows. Now, out of a show that I'm on, or a show that I'm putting on, which one would you say would be supporting me? Which one would you say if you went to?
I would have thought your one.
All right. I've had people, you know what I mean? They say, sorry, I can't come to your show, To me, it don't bother me, because at the end of the day, you're not coming for me. Like, I'm putting on the show for you. If you can make it, coming in to entertain yourself. But then the same people be like, that show that you're on with Richard Blackwood, I'm definitely coming to support you. You know what I mean? Like, my wage don't change whether you come or not to that one, you know what I mean? So that's not supporting me. My comedy set's always going to go as it goes, you know what I mean?
That's our mentality, and it's good mentality.
I wouldn't say it's wrong. I wouldn't say that's what I trust, exactly. That's human beings.
I get more support anywhere I go, but boom.
You know what that is?
Anywhere I go.
I think that's down to a level of familiarity. Because everyone knows you. It's like,
but that's wrong then, because that means you're disregarding anything you do because we know you.
Nah, but you know what? You know what? Again, I can agree and then I can disagree. And people think
they know. If they're not even in that world, they just go off by what they think they know.
Nah, but I can agree.
Instagram picture, we know him enough. We see him over there. You see him on Instagram. You know what I mean?
But even with that though, so like with the comedy, early days again, people will be like, yeah, I can't make it, but they'll come to a show that I'm on with someone. Whereas obviously I've put in the work, I've done my thing, you know what I mean, on the comedy scene. So I've built my name, and now people will come to my show, you know what I mean. So it's one of them ones where I won't blame people for not being interested in the early days, because me as an individual, unless there's a hype around, not say I'm necessarily just gonna follow just because there's a hype, but it has to catch my ear or has to catch my attention for me to wanna.
But I am gonna say that I think that's actually the problem. Like if we're talking about at some point building a Birmingham infrastructure, building anything from the ground up, you can't wait until it pops. Because there's nothing to pop. You have to go from the beginning, which means you're putting on the show. If there's 3 people there, that's
regardless.
3 people. The next time 6 people, whatever it is.
Grow it.
Brum have to get out of this attitude that everyone has to go out, be co-signed by somebody else, and then come back. Or you have to have a certain number of followers, or whatever it might be. Brum has to go, actually, we're here and we're all interconnected. It's one of the few cities where everyone is still kind of very connected by family, friend, foe, or whatever. We have to support people, but personal issues, inherited personal issues, I just don't like because I saw her 2 times and she didn't smile, whatever it might be, comes into Brum, and it's one of the few cities that still has that problem that they have to overcome.
Even if we're on the same journey, instead of joining, just like you say, helping, we were competition. So we say, I've got a perfect plan. Yeah, what are you doing over there? Why do you go and talk to him? Nah, that man's gonna be better than this. So we're always on the competition. Where if we join as one, we can make something happen. Like we make something really big pop out.
You know what's tough?
We just bare competition.
Now you know what's tough though?
Competition, man.
I agree. It would be great if people could work together. But in my experiences, there's people you can work with, and there's people who you just can't. You know what I mean? And Birmingham's very small, so the people that you can't work with, right there and the right there and the right there. You know what I mean? But at the same time, the people that you can work with are also right there, and right there. The only one of the main problems that we face though is sometimes we buck up on the person we can't work with one too many times, which say if the person you can't work with, you try to work a thing with them, it goes pear-shaped. Yo, I can't work with no, but you try to give it another chance. You work with the next man, same thing happens. When you give up, you're probably just one person away from the person you could have worked with, and it just boom, you know what I mean?
It also takes a bit of humility in the sense of sometimes you might have a good idea, but you're not the person who can execute it. Yes. Another person then has the resources. Another person has, and if everyone plays a position, the problem, and I don't want to put this on Brum, I just think it's a people problem. Everybody wants to be the head. That's not the way it works. Everybody wants to be the leader. That's not the way it works. Everyone has to find a position, and when you live in a time where everyone's a boss, everyone's this, everyone's number one, it's gonna be hard to build and be difficult.
But that comes down to character, you know what I mean? It comes down to being humble as a person. Like, I can put my hand up and say there's certain projects in areas I can't do that and I can't do that. So someone who can, I would love for them to do. I don't usually like to be a part of anything, you know what I mean? And it's because I've dealt with so much people, but at the same time, I do still give chances. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be sitting here right now as one of the hosts, you know what I mean? So I'm always happy to still give it a chance. But in areas where I can put myself in a position to observe someone's energy, because that plays a very big part. You know what I mean? Your business, your resources, your connections are all great and everything. But yo, nowadays Birmingham's so small that if your energy's off, that I remember when I started doing entertainment, I made a vow. If I can punch you in your face, I can't work with you. And I'll explain it. It'll be one of them ones like, you see, not everyone knows me and my family. Me and you work together. I know you get on my nerves. You piss me off. I ain't gonna box you. You know what I mean? I know I can't box you. So it's one of them ones where if I know I can, if you cross me the wrong way, if there's a chance I'll do it. It's better we just don't go there. And I'd have to detect that from you though. In order for me to think like that, I'd have to sense something that make me think, he might have to hold a box, you know. But if I know that there's no chance of it, and even if there is, I would only probably work with you with enough of what I'm doing that if it went pear-shaped,
It doesn't
I haven't
fit.
put too much
much
in order for it to go pear-shaped. It would just be a lesson. I'll be like, you know what? Let's go our separate ways and done. You get me? And I'll just save the man a jaw. You know what I mean?
Sound like bare different tangents. We're pretty back home to what it's supposed to be about. What's your opinions on artists putting beef on their track and their drama specifically on their track?
Nah. Well, you guys.
To me, I don't think it's a smart idea. 'Cause I think it does more damage than good, especially in this day and age, because the likelihood of you being confronted about what you've said is like is more. It's more like to happen. But
you're kind of just telling on yourself.
Yeah.
Like you're giving a roadmap to the CPS.
Yeah.
It's a little bit unsmart.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If it's organised.
Yeah, see, this is what I mean. Okay, it's going to sound so bad, yeah, but
it's fake, but do the audience know this?
And I actually do enjoy when people do diss tracks, but I know it's not real drama. Do you know when people are doing saying diss tracks and the hard diss tracks towards each other, and rather than bringing it to the
For
street,
example,
they just bring
who
it
would
to
you
the
say?
music.
Who?
Bugsy and Chip.
Yeah, listen.
At the beginning, I didn't know who Bugsy was, and I was like,
Okay. But remember that's got 100. That's a label backing.
Yeah, but the thing is,
But I didn't know that. I just
that's
thought
a big.
you didn't know it.
I just thought.
Nah, but you know what?
I was being nosy.
You know what though? But this is where it gets sticky though, because you know
See, that there, though,
I hear that, and to me it makes sense because people like drama, but you know the listeners, they can't differentiate if it's true or not. These 15,
So they're gonna come
these
out
15
doing
and
their
16-year-olds are listening and they're thinking, yo,
This is what we need to do.
But the thing is, this is the thing.
Is that as well?
Yeah, this is what we need to do.
You have people that can rap, and you have people that are artists and understand the music business, and you have to find a way to talk about what you want to talk about, but do it a little bit discreet. I was rapping bare bars when I was little. I didn't know what I was saying. I was saying I'm going to gun a man down. I didn't know.
When Bugsy was saying he's gonna knock out my man, you believe that? Because you never knew it was fake.
I was on
You
YouTube.
knew it.
Googling,
Once he linked up my man in London, he's on. So you
Yeah,
telling me you never believed that?
Yeah, but it weren't going to happen.
You
Like,
never
that's
knew
awesome.
that.
I thought Bugsy
You never knew that. Yes, you did.
Bugsy's a boxer, you know. Yo, wait till he catches Chip.
Yo, a lot of people thought that though. Come
Yeah,
on.
but why does it matter? As long as you think it, and now it's resolved.
But-
UK.
No,
people,
But you know what it is
what
though?
I mean?
I listen to every diss track.
You-
though.
exactly.
You know what I mean? I'm like, yo,
And
what's
the
Chip
thing
gonna
is-
say now? Because he ain't gonna
Exactly.
go. He ain't gonna fight him. He's gonna diss him in the track.
Yeah, and the thing is, and not a lot of people knew who Bugsy was before that.
I didn't know
So
that.
then everyone knew who Bugsy was, and then now everyone wants to know about Manchester. Do you understand what I mean? So
But
then,
then
you
it also-
bring in people like H. You bring in.
But it
do you
also-
understand
Yeah,
what I
but-
mean?
And it also made
No, he hasn't
Chip
directly
relevant
but I
again.
mean, it makes Manchester more relevant.
But you know what? But once again though, especially
Okay,
because we're
that's-
talking about beef and the consequences of talking all this up.
is
Once,
the
and
consequences.
my thing is
You can't like one thing and not like the
it's
other.
thing,
You like the
we're walking a very-
fakeness.
we're walking a
Man,
very
you
thin
like
line.
fake beef.
It's a very
We just like fake
it's a
beef.
very thin line.
Come just pretend I shoot you. Come on, man.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's a very thin line.
It's
a very- It's a very thin line though. Like,
Everyone. That means we
Very
need
thin line.
artists just like Shaq and them. That's what you're saying. There's bare fake.
Yeah.
But you know
Full
what it
about
is?
artists.
For someone who consumes rap,
Can't
yeah,
doubt
I
that.
look for things like that in its space. So like I'll watch Smack Battle, I'll watch Queen of the Ring. I
That's what I'm
like it
saying.
in that context.
Okay.
Like
Yeah.
this is now a battle
Controlled
rap.
beef.
So we're gonna go bar for it's not your personal beef with obviously sometimes it is, but it's done in an environment that makes sense. I don't want to listen to a 3-minute song of you dissing anyone. I don't care.
But look at this
That's
as
just
well,
how
yeah.
I
Your
consume
favourite
it.
artists have got big tunes that kept on coming in on them and a bag of other artists out there with tunes saying, say it with your chest. You know what he's saying?
Yeah.
With your chest. You know what I mean?
Let's pause 1 second. Yeah.
Any projects you're doing, any funded money, do whatever you got planned. You should execute it with the people you're supposed to execute it with, and they're the ones that are out there on the road. They need all of this. They need the support and the talk, and not the good youths. Basically,
I know, but you know what? But once again though, that's hard to.
Bond
I don't care,
I feel like
good
we
youths
need
are all
to
right.
talk to everyone.
but
No, they
this
need to
is-
talk to everyone,
no.
but we're aiming at the
No.
wrong youths. We're saying to the good youths, don't become them.
Yeah, nah,
Okay,
for
no,
real.
no,
man.
okay,
I agree.
That don't make no sense.
I agree with it.
Why don't we go to them and say,
Listen,
me can't talk. Go on,
there's
go on.
two sides. First of all, that's
Yeah.
the preventative side. So you do have to have a conversation of going down that road is probably a no. The ones where they're already down that road, it's a very different conversation because they're already down that road.
That's
So
really
it's about
nice.
finding
That's
the
what
right
it's
people
100%.
who have a tool to. First of all, let's be honest. How many of them are listening to? Remember, you have to present a certain type of person.
But
in
I
front
see
of
them all
them.
every day.
Yeah, but
I
I'm not
talk to
talking
them every
about
day.
you. I'm talking you are a certain person who already has a certain
No, but you
network
see these
and
youths,
connection.
what they say to me. No one's coming to me.
Yeah, but listen.
If only someone said to
No,
me.
but listen, they also have to be honest. Not everybody that comes to them are they gonna listen
But
to.
no one's come to them. No, everyone's saying that. That's what I'm trying to say. Everyone's got this. If we do,
No,
if
listen.
no one's going
I've
to them.
been on the ground, so
You know what I mean?
I understand that. But let's be honest.
We need people to
sometimes-
just give it to them and see what happens.
Nah, some of you still want to hear
because
No, they don't.
anything. No,
still.
I'm not gonna say.
And we
I'm not gonna
know
say
that
all
we
of them.
We
I'm
know
not gonna say
that
all of them.
personally. Some of
There's
them are
some youths-
tough-headed.
there's some youths who
But there's
just not
nothing being
interested.
put in front of them. Oh, they
Because
see
you
the
know why?
toughest head
Hold
dudes.
on.
I'll
You
put
know
something
why?
in
Let
front
me
of
tell
them
you
and
why.
change them.
Let me tell you why.
So
Shreds.
I can
It's
do
not about
with nothing.
change.
You know
Shreds,
what I
let me tell
mean?
you why. Let me tell you because not all of them want to be rappers.
Yeah.
Not all of them want to be
It's
actors.
about
You
change.
hear me? Like if you're talking about the ones that are getting in the music field, that's a different conversation.
Definitely.
But not all of them want to be rappers.
Like,
Some of
how
them
many
are
people-
what they are.
They
You
can-
get
I
me?
was trying to say, if you
Yeah.
have money for something, a plan, whatever plan you're doing, obviously everything's not music based, isn't it?
Okay,
So whatever plan you are planning, at least go to. Don't forget the tough-headed. The tough-headed ones are the ones you're supposed to be. We just want tough heads only. How about that then?
Yeah,
We just
listen,
want the
I don't have-
real toughest head to change them.
Yeah.
Because I'll tell you one thing, you changed a hot head. You changed one of them youths. I was in the studio the other day with all them lot. And I said to these lot, I was in the studio, I swear, I wasn't even in mind, it was the next one. And I was like, this is where you lot come. And I was like, imagine if you said ooh ah, all of these that will follow suit.
Yeah.
I know you know.
Bro.
but you know
Okay,
what
but
it
let me
is.
show you
Go on,
something.
What's he
No, I
gonna
mean-
say?
When you're speaking, there's some things that you're missing. First of all, I'm a woman, innit? So you also have to understand that as a woman speaking in a certain space, there's a different kind of conversation and a different energy that is happening. So they take what is being said and receive it in a different way. So it has to be curated in a
Don't make a
thing.
woman attack
No,
them. Talk
no,
to them.
but this is the thing because a woman's voice is just as powerful.
No,
if
but
it's
if
said in
you're
the right
saying-
way, let me land. So then, on top of that, you've then taught, you said, all right,
This
if you've
me
got
and
money,
you.
you're doing
Mine and your
projects. Yeah,
talk.
we haven't done that now.
Is that man of your talk?
I'll put some fuel on the fire now. Yeah. Go on, carry on.
Then when you talk about, okay, anyone that's doing projects and stuff and so forth, yeah, that's one end, we know the end. Sometimes it just has to be, that in-house conversation first. Like you already have a network of people that you can have a conversation with, innit? Who are doing whatever they're doing or not doing. Baija already has that network. Kaylee has it, Smash has it, I have it. You have to start there. Then it's about, okay, then let's say all 5 of us come and say we're going to bring our network of those young people and make that
Spot on,
intersection
man.
link and then keep building that way. It's not just, here's a project with a
Yeah,
horde.
can
me.
I add to that as well?
It's true what you're
and,
saying,
and that's
spot on.
and that is my
I
point.
love that
My
type of-
point is, bro, we rely on the system
Love
too
that.
much for things. We need to forget their funding, forget their help, forget their outreach, forget who they're paying to talk to, man.
Bond them.
Bro, them conversations start in your household, bro.
Yeah,
Go
but-
upstairs, and this is my thing, and I say to not like I've been invited to talk at the amount of teachers dealing with crime in their schools and one bag of stuff. And my thing is, yo, bro, when's the last time you gone upstairs to your own kid and asked your kid how he feels about
Anything like
crime
that.
in his area or the stabbings or shootings that's going on? And almost all the time, bar probably one time with one person, people have put their hands up. It never happens. So I'm saying, why are you relying on them, bro? Go upstairs, go to your brothers, go to your sisters. Stop relying on funding.
Yeah.
Stop relying on other people to talk to your picnic
Yeah,
and your bedrooms. And
course.
if you got sense in your head, or you've got kids, or you've got nephews, bro, you go talk to them, bro.
course.
You get me? I don't need to get paid for that. Like, I need to get paid for that. You get me?
Man, give me a clap.
You get me? I don't need to get paid for that.
Listen, this has been very, very emotional, and I've loved it. I've loved every bit. Now, it's been a pleasure having you guys on the show. Is there anything you want to shout out your social medias and
Shut down
future-
and
Let me finish. Man.
shut down to the real. Mum knows. They don't know, man. They all say it for me.
Is that an Instagram?
Yeah,
At shutdown end.
at shutdown_ENT_UK.
Okay.
Yeah. Artists, we've got all the biggest artists in Birmingham coming out, all from the youngest to
The oldest.
you know what I mean?
Yes, I'm young dog, me can't.
Support the thing. Sure.
It's helped a lot of people behind the scenes as well.
Support
After
it, man.
you get me, even myself, you get me. So
Big.
definitely
So
support
at
that.
Shutdown Ents UK.
Shutdown _ENT_UK.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yourself.
Just get at me in general, man. Like, I have people hollering at me all the time, whether it's for just general conversation, people venting to me, whatever it is. Cause as well as the artist, like I said, I'm just a real person in the community. You get me? I don't care.
Uncle.
Yeah, you get me. So just shout me anyway. Obviously, if it's music or whatever, you already know. If just you get me, whatever it is. You get me. Even so, feel free. You get me.
Yo, boy, shut that box. You know, you tell you something like shut. I'm joking.
Yeah. But Instagram is twistedreverend_365, and yeah, my Facebook. That's just some personal things. So I don't. Yeah, so I just leave that out. You get me. But yeah.
My Instagram is @hermastery. You can't just call me like you call by J. You can send me an email. It's on the.
Spell you.
HER and MASTERY. It's just
All
one
one
word.
word? Okay,
Yeah, just
cool,
all
cool,
one word. You can get things that are to do with women, black women in specific, building businesses, creative entrepreneurship consultancy, and looking at the intersection of being a creative, an academic, and a researcher within the creative industries.
Lovely.
Boom.
Again.
Boom.
Boy,
Cool.
Akasha.
Well, thank you everyone for coming and joining us.
Oh wait, we've got all firms in there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, our firms, you come here now. What you mean, sir? Yo,
You really ganging it.
No.
Straight gang, you know.
Solihull is
You
like,
don't rap, do you?
no.
Solihull's not
The same, I know.
The
You don't
toughest
rap,
person
man.
up there is the postman.
Oh, go away. But anyway, as I was saying, thank you everyone for joining in
Yeah, man.
joining the conversation. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and follow us at Tootbox_media.
$2.
Thanks and bye.
Boom.
Boom. Bow.